Hi, welcome to another episode of Sipping with Simone. I have my tea here. I woke up like this. I got this mug from Winners, and I indeed, ew, there's a hair in my mug. I indeed woke up like this. I also woke up a little disturbed. I have my laptop here. I want to talk to you today about sex dolls. I don't know if I have an opinion on sex dolls. I have been trying to think about, okay, why are you uncomfortable? Like, what is the reason for your discomfort? And I think the reason for my discomfort is really like the symbolism of sex dolls and why we even have the invention in the first place. So I'm going to post a bunch of links below this video in terms of what I'm referring to in this video. And I'll try to be quick, and I apologize if my thoughts are a little all over the place and I'm discombobulated. I'm just really like, what is our world coming to? So this week there has been a lot of talk about a new sex doll coming out. People just call them dolls or sex dolls, but their primary function and why they were originally created were for sex. And I'm not surprised that sex dolls exist. We have sex toys. We have little vagina things that you could buy that men could use. We have dildos, and we have vibrators, etc. So I'm not surprised that the next evolution is an actual lifelike doll. Now these dolls, they're making them more and more lifelike as the years go by. They have very large breasts, very pert and perky breasts and pointy nipples, and they have lovely features and big eyes, big innocent eyes, and some of them can flirt with you. Some of them could even simulate an orgasm. Some of them will even remember facts about you as you interact with them sexually or otherwise, so that they could better, I guess, conform to you, or you could be more compatible. Some of them speak. Some of them have pubic hair. It's really amazing to see what is out there in terms of artificial intelligence and robotics. But I guess why I'm not gonna lie, I am low-key, maybe not disturbed. One of my first things is that I'm low-key offended in the sense that these sex dolls really play into, I guess, a typical male fantasy of, having sex with somebody who's really petite, busty, curvy. And then again, there's been a lot of guys saying, these dolls are gonna take care or take over, and women are going to become obsolete because these dolls, they don't have PMS. They don't say, oh, they have a headache. They're not, bitchy. They're not, they're quiet. They stay quiet. They don't have complaints. They don't nag. And I'm listening to this conversation. I'm like, wow. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I am low-key offended that some men are just so, and this is what I mean by symbolism. Some men, I guess, are so frustrated by their interactions with women that these dolls seem like a viable alternative because they keep quiet and they do what they're told. And they could be controlled. So that's what's a little disturbing for me. I'm also thinking about, so there's a video I'm going to post about Dave Cat. Dave Cat is a guy who, no lie and no shade, but when they showed him and they said that, he has a sex doll, I was not surprised. 37-year-old man, he has a sex doll who's basically, he considers his wife, and they've been married 10 years. They have wedding bands. He goes dress shopping for her. I didn't know how to feel about that until I was watching the video, and the only word that came to mind was like, this is really sad. And I'm not saying sad in a pitying way, and I'm really trying to be serious and compassionate about this whole issue, because I think there's some really serious issues underlying this all. sad in the sense that look at where we have come as a society. Like he talked about in the video how he got this doll as an antidote to being lonely. And I think a lot of us can relate to being lonely. And the psychiatrist in the video talked about how oftentimes when we're lonely and we're feeling some sort of pain, and loneliness is pain, people do things to dumb down that, or dull down that pain. Like some people inject, some people go to porn or sex or food or anything that from which they could get comfort or a distraction. And in this case, that doll is a distraction from that very real pain, the pain of loneliness. And like he says in the video, the pain of being unable to, or intimidated or scared of relationship. And that just struck me in the feels. That hit me in the feels in the sense that, to be quite honest, a lot of us are scared of intimate relationships. And think about all the things that we do to distract ourselves from that. I'm sure that there are many people, men and women alike, who, like, how many women out there have you heard, you know, I'm done with men. I pay my own bills. I have a roof over my head. I cook my own food. I drive my own car. I don't need man. All I need is a little bit of dick every once in a while. And I got a vibrator or a dildo for that. And I think to myself, how is that scenario, which we as a society largely accept, how is that scenario different from a man saying, you know, I've been so hurt by women in my life and I can't seem to connect with women and I'm lonely and I have these deep-seated needs, sexual and otherwise, companionship. So I'm going to seek out the companionship of a doll. So that's the thing that I'm thinking about. How we can't, and I try not to like go down too hard on these people and think like, oh my gosh, like what a weirdo, what a creep, like, because there's a little bit of us in all of these people. Sex is a need for most people. It's a very deep-seated need, and I have come to realize that for men, it hits them at their core. Sex is like a core need, whereas for a lot of women, it'd be nice, but we could do without. For men, it's like it's something that they really need to have, apparently. And so I can sympathize and I can imagine and understand how you have this really core need and you don't really have a healthy way of satisfying it. And the only way that you can satisfy it, or you thought of, is having sex with a doll. While I am a little bit uncomfortable with the having sex with a doll part, I can understand the whole having a deep-seated need and wanting to meet that need somehow in a way that's not harmful to other people. And then I also, speaking about not harmful to other people, I've heard of people making the argument that these sex dolls, or they have like children-shaped sex dolls so that people who have sexual attraction to children, instead of taking their sexual attraction and trying to seek out children, can have sex with these dolls. I don't know how I feel about that. I actually don't really have an opinion on that, except that I'm uncomfortable. A lot of these people too talk about having wives and partners. And I can't help but think, oh my goodness, if I were a wife and if my husband brought a doll into our marriage, I would feel so offended. I would feel so offended. I'm ready, willing, available, able, and you're taking a doll into our you take a doll over me. That's a slap in the face. That I'm not gonna lie. And in the My Strange Addiction piece, I remember watching the whole episode some years ago, and they had one guy with a wife, and they interviewed the wife, and the wife was like, no, I'm okay with it, you know, as long as, you know, he's happy. It's almost like the Sheryl Crow song, if it makes you happy. Oh my gosh, it's morning, so I can't really sing right now. But the song, like, if it makes you happy, that it can't be that bad. So a lot of people are like, if it makes me happy, it's fine. But I'm like, that's usually not a good enough reason for a lot of things we do in life. And anyway, so the woman is like, you know, if it makes him happy, that's fine. And then they close out that scene, and then the caption was like, you know, so-and-so's wife separated from him 3 months after this. And so, yeah, a lot of wives I don't think are happy with this. And I remember I saw the guy saying it, it's like high-end masturbation. And that's the thing. If we're going to knock sex dolls, we have to kind of knock, what do we have to kind of knock masturbation and the other tools that people use to masturbate? And side note, I'm going to talk about masturbation in an upcoming video because I think that's something that we don't talk about. But anyway, so that's one thing I'm thinking of. Another thing I'm thinking of is I think a lot of men, they say that they're happy with this, but I think maybe for a lot of them, they wouldn't want to have gone to this length. Like, I found, like, with Dave Katz's video, he was somewhat defensive. And as soon as the psychiatrist left, the caption said that he ordered a new doll 2 hours after, which tells me that there's something in that conversation that really rubbed him the wrong way and maybe reminded himself of his loneliness. I feel really bad for Dave Katz. Like, he's never been in a relationship. No, rather, he's been in a relationship, but always the other man. And that really, really hurts me. Like, I feel really sad for him. Not like, you know, he's pathetic sad, but like, man, what have we become as a society where a lot of us are so lonely and so in want and need, like a deep-seated visceral need for companionship and a sexual partner, and a lot of us are not able to satisfy that, and that just makes me really sad. And so we turn to these robots. Robots were, in one article, it says that some hackers could hack into robots. So there's also like these intervening concerns for the future. Now there's also male sex robots with unstoppable bionic penises coming. I don't know if, it says here, if women are that interested in getting satisfaction from a vibrator, imagine how the same women will feel having a robot they can put their arms around them and having the robot squeeze them. Yeah. So a lot of people, I've been seeing a lot of comments. Most of the comments I've been seeing under these videos have been negative. But as we know, when it comes to issues of sex and sexuality, often the people who are super, super negative and really public with their negative are silently, quietly doing it in private. As this sex therapist says in this Jamaica Star article, she says, what's her name? Sex educator Shelly Ann Weeks. She says that sex dolls is nothing really new, and Jamaicans are very adventurous, so she expects some Jamaicans to hop onto this. And she says they will protest against it in public, but will enjoy it in private. Not a lot of persons are going to be able to afford it, though, as they go at a very expensive price. Noting that women are generally more open to sex toys than men. That I'm not surprised about. Yeah, apparently these toys are $2,000, these dolls, $2,000 a piece, so it's an investment. There's another quote I neglected to mention when we talked about the wife. How would I feel as a wife? So there's another article I have here from The Guardian. This is man, he has a doll, he has a wife. His wife went away, his wife came back, and she saw 4 new women in her house. And the interviewer asked James what would he have to do, or what would he do if he chose or had to choose between his wife and his favorite doll. And it says here that he had a pained look over his face, and he said, and I quote, "I honestly don't know." So, yeah, I'm not gonna lie. As you can see, my thoughts are all discombobulated. I am not comfortable with this idea because of the potential, but also because of what it means. I think it's a sign in our society that people are deeply hurting. And we just talk about, oh, they have a sex doll, but people are deeply hurting. And how as a society have we come to this point? And insofar as we've come to this point, how can we address this in a healthy, compassionate way? So those are my thoughts. Hopefully it made sense. I would love to hear what you think. Feel free to let me know what you think in the comments. Would you ever get a sex doll? Think about it. If you already have a vibrator or a dildo or, oh gosh, what's the name? It looks like a microphone for penises. If you are, like, I forget the name. there's so many toys out there. If you have these things, how then can you knock somebody who upgrades and gets a sex doll? Or, you know, are you on the other side like, oh my gosh, you know, no masturbation, oh my gosh, these sex dolls are pathetic and creepy and no? Or like, what do you think? I've heard people talking about threesomes with these things. I'm just like, oh my goodness, our society. So I'd love to hear what you think. Please be kind in the comments, not only because of this topic, but just in general with any video. Be kind, and I'll talk to you later when I find something else to talk to you about. Keep drinking your tea, keep being hydrated, and I'll see you on the interweb somewhere. And subscribe. Subscribe. Thanks. Bye.